So when you think of how entertainment is put together, how we entertain the masses, a large stage show can be full of safety hazards. However, we do everything we can to minimize the safety hazards. Number one, earplugs at a live show. I used to sell earplugs for $2 a pop. I got a big bag of them, and I put signs up on speakers, one of which saying, if you could read this, you're probably going deaf, unless, of course, you have earplugs in. And then I'd sell earplugs for $2. It wasn't that much money. It wasn't like to make a huge profit. It was just to let people know I try to keep the volumes down, but if you put your ear close to a speaker, I will warn you, I'll try to get you away from there. But volume is an issue when it comes to safety. Rigging, when you put lights, right? When you rig speakers, anything's flown above an audience is potentially dangerous. So everything pretty much has a safety line. So if you go to a theater or a large stage show and you see lights being used, you'll see little aircraft cable attached to each one as a safety backup. Just in case it fell, it's hanging now. So safety is you can learn a lot from a stage when it comes to safety. And I've been hurt in the entertainment industry, of course. But there's just so many case studies of things that could potentially go wrong. And so anyone who's a technical director or a stage manager will keep that into consideration, looking at all safety hazards. That's number one. You can't do a show if it's not safe. So you've probably heard, like the Great White Concert, for example, a fire starting. Apparently, what a pyrotechnic expert told me was that pyro, when it shoots out of the little cannons, they've got trajectories. Well, they used the wrong trajectory, he told me anyways. I don't know if that's true, but it was an old wooden ceiling, wooden walls, and it burnt down and it killed people. So they caused a fire by the pyrotechnics. So there's you'll hear a lot of stage collapses. I bet you hear more about, cranes, when they use cranes to make condos and stuff. You can actually find the web pages of all the accidents that happen with cranes. It's like a stage collapsing. Nobody wants a stage to collapse, but somebody's always responsible. So I think every time we see that with building condos or rock shows or whatever, we all learn something about safety, right? And I just think entertainment's a good case study because there's so many potential safety hazards when you're making a movie or when you're playing a live show or mixing a live show. So there's a lot to learn about safety there and a lot of takeaways that you could adapt to other industries. Being in the entertainment industry primarily, I also learned about other industries and their safety, right? Reading stories in the paper about somebody falling off one of those subway cars when they're fixing something underground or somebody dying. Stage collapsed at the Radiohead concert, yeah. Right. And then the question is always why? Well, it didn't have to happen. This is the sad thing. It just didn't have to happen. Why would a crane fall over? Why do you think, Rusty? Why would a crane fall over?
Ballast, right?
But who's in charge of this?
Crane operator.
Right. Well, it's training. Training, I think, is the bottom of it. And negligence. One thing I don't believe in is an accident. You could say there's accidents. I say there's varying degrees of negligence. No accidents. Because I think accident is just, when somebody crashes a car, I got into an accident. Someone's at fault, therefore there was a degree of negligence. Whether it was a large degree or a small degree, it's negligence, right? If I trip and fall over, that's just, it's a small degree of negligence, but when you crash your car into somebody, that's a large degree. So I don't believe in accidents, I believe in varying degrees of negligence. And I think for the most part, we are human beings, I understand that, but for the most part, there's just a lot of accidents and dangerous stuff that just does not have to happen. Right? Think about
too many people in a rush.
Too many people in a rush. Not really being trained. There's various reasons why this happens. We just need better training. Just ensure. When I put live events together, I take care of the audio visual, right? And then I edit video and I do a bunch of stuff for them. So I'm putting live shows together. We have these screens. They're called folding screens or fast folds or ScreenWorks, Easy Fold or whatever they're called. There's different brands. You put a frame together and you snap it all together and make a frame. And then you put legs on it and then you hoist it up. Some of these screens are 7.5 by 10 or 9 by 12. They're huge, some of them. And you got to do it with somebody else. Every snap on that metal frame has to be accounted for and double checked and triple checked. You can't have a screen falling down in the middle of an event. Especially if there's a table not too far away, right? That could really hurt somebody. So yeah, we look at all that stuff. We look at electricity. We're not overloading circuits. Nobody's getting shocked. If there's an unsafe circuit, I have a circuit tester. I'm not an electrician, but I do test circuitry. If I put the circuit tester in and it doesn't show me the lights that need to be lit up, and I move it around sometimes because sometimes they're intermittent. Like if there's no ground, somebody could get shocked if they touch the wrong two pieces of metal. Which two pieces? I don't exactly know, but if it's grounded, it's not going to happen, right? So do you know about electricity? You're like industrial guy, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, so the grounding thing is like on stage when something's not grounded and a guitar player is playing with metal strings and a metal microphone, that current could go through their heart. They don't even have to touch the mic sometimes. I've heard of arcing, where you get a little bit of a little spark. Yeah, when somebody says, oh, I'm getting a shock on my mic, well, you trace down the piece of equipment that's causing the shock and you just don't use it. If somebody insists on using it, if they do it behind my back, I can't do much. If it's their gear, I can't do much. But I will say it's unsafe. You can't use it on this stage. Or if I go to a place and the electricity is unsafe, I'm sorry, I can't do the show. Oh, well, we were going to pay you a couple $100 or whatever, because freelance live sound in clubs pays something around there, right? It varies. That's not a lot of money to say no to a show. Anyways, safe, safe, safe. Be safe. As you probably know, I don't know if you know, but I've been playing guitar on stage, performing since the late 80s. And it wasn't until my band went to a photo shoot. We did a photo shoot. The photographer was alone. We were getting a deal. And he wanted to do this crazy lighting effect where he had this big piece of sheet metal. And he put it on a couple of those, like the stand you have here in the studio. He put it on a couple of those. Big piece, it was like 12 feet long. So it was like bowed on the bottom. And we'd have to hoist it up. And it was held on by two industrial metal clips, right? And I was questioning that. So I told the guy, oh, I'm tall, I'll help you, I'll be on this side. So I grabbed one of the poles and he goes, okay, hoist. And so we had to hoist together to keep it level so it wouldn't fall apart. And then we hoisted again, and I looked up at the edge, and I looked up at the industrial clip right beside the edge of the sheet metal. And before I even finished the question, how safe is, bang, I got hit in the head with the sheet metal. It just missed my eye. It hit me right here. It was only 4 stitches, but it cut right to the bone. And I had a white shirt. I didn't get one drop of blood on the white shirt. Everybody was so impressed, especially at the hospital. I sat there in the hospital going, my God, like, that could have taken out my eye. It could have been worse than what it was, right? So I got sewn up, and I had a lot of I still have nerve damage. If you see me do this, it's not because I always want to, like, zhuzh my hair. It's because if I touch part of my scalp, I feel another part. So I do have some nerve damage in my scalp. And ever since then, I was like Mr. Safety at sets, Mr. Safety on stage. I fell off a stage once too because of somebody's stupidity. They had put these bright rope lights around the edge of the stage because it looked good. And the curtains were much like that. They were like really dark, all black velour curtains. With those bright lights, you could not separate the edge of the stage from beyond the edge of the stage. And I fell and I hurt my leg really bad. So that's another reason why. If you're just a little more proactive and think about it, people could remain safe on stage. Stage safety extends to things we don't normally think about, like when a band performs, drumsticks or broken drumsticks, vessels of liquid, broken glass, and guitar strings. Each one of these can pose a safety hazard. So I've been teaching the live sound class for the 3rd term audio students since 2001, and the first thing we do is a safety check. Broken glass. If you bring a glass up on stage, well, rock musicians aren't the gentlest with anything, so they're likely to have broken shards of glass on stage, and they can cut the cables, they can cut fingers, and cut feet, right? So we make sure there's no broken glass on stage. Guitar strings don't appear to be deadly, but when guitar players break a string, what's the first thing they do? Do they take it and roll it up nicely and put it in the garbage? No, they tear it off the guitar and throw it on the floor. So when it hits one of the 2 prongs on a circuit, it creates a shock hazard. How do I know? I've got shocked twice. I'll never get shocked again, ever, because when I look at a guitar string on the stage, I will not touch it unless I know for sure it's not touching any circuit. So it only had to happen to me twice. I guess the first time wasn't good enough, right? Broken drumsticks are deadly too, because you can slip and roll on them and fall, Or if they're broken, because when drummers break sticks, they don't neatly put them away. They just toss the broken part. Well, there's a shard of wood that can now puncture somebody. And it has. Not me. I've never got punctured by a drumstick. So because of those reasons, I have been, I guess, an ambassador for safety. I don't know what to call it. That's one of the big things I do, like teaching classes or whatever, or lectures, whatever, is safety when it comes to using the gear that we use to do what we do, making films, being on set. Being on stage, performing, public speakers, all that kind of stuff. So I'm in the live entertainment industry a lot, and also the video part of the entertainment industry. And that's why I'm adamant about safety. And Band-Aids and first aid kits. You should always have a Band-Aid and a first aid kit. All right, that's it. That's all I got to say.